So spring is a great time of year to plant native plants. To turn your property, your yard, into a habitat for wildlife. So we've got here a redbud, which is a native ornamental tree. It gets awesome purple flowers in the spring.
Redbud are one of the first trees to flower in spring. The flowers form in dense clusters along the stems.
And then we also have here pagoda dogwood. So the pagoda dogwood is kind of a lesser known native dogwood compared to the white Florida flowering dogwood.
Unique, layered horizontal branching, white flowers in the spring, and purple fruit in the fall make the pagoda dogwood a great selection for the home landscape. Dogwoods have been known to attract more than 30 different birds, including the cedar waxwing, the wood thrush, the downy woodpecker, and the eastern bluebird.
I think a lot of people are intimidated by the thought of planting things. So I just want to give you a few quick pointers how you can plant trees and shrubs and perennials at your own home. Call to get your utilities marked. You don't want to hit an underground utility. You want to plan for how is this going to be as it matures. Enough space around it for it to fill out, not crowd other things. So yeah, so when you go to plant, you just want to have a hole that's a little bit bigger than the pot itself. We'll go ahead and do that. Swing this off to the side. Gardening and planting is therapeutic. I'm out here, I'm using my body, working hard. Feels good. It's peaceful. Listening to the birds. It's a way for me to connect with the natural world. Also, the idea that I'm planting something that will outlive me. So I've got my hole dug. Good way to check your depth is just kind of hold your shovel down and you kind of just eye where the ground level comes against your shovel. I'm about here. And then you can bring it over to your pot here and check. So I'm just about ground level with this, which is perfect. If you don't check it and you put it in the hole and you're too deep or too high, then you have to pull the tree out, and that's just more work. Okay, so when you do this with a potted tree, and I actually prefer potted trees. Potted trees seem to root in quicker. Trees that are balled and burlapped are grown in a field and they're dug up, and so a lot of their roots are chopped off, and it's just shock on the tree. So in a pot, obviously the roots have been growing, and so no roots are damaged. You just want to be careful pulling it out. Set it in the hole and look and see if it's leaning. So this one's leaning this way a little bit, and you want to look at kind of the good side of the tree. So to me, this is so narrow, so I'm gonna turn it to have a more of a broad flare, side facing an angle that you're gonna see it mostly from. To me, that's a better looking side of the tree. So I'm gonna spin it like that. Maybe a little. So if you have to lean it, you just wanna pull back on the tree, put a little dirt in there on the one side, and then stomp it down. A couple of things that I want you to look for. One, you want to make sure that your root flare is exposed. A lot of times dirt gets packed around the base of the tree, and it's actually piled up higher than where it should be. This is the root flare. See, it flares out. And so this is how a tree would normally grow. See, this tree wasn't planted. This used to be a forest. So this tree has a good flare, and you look, all of these trees have root flares on them. A lot of times planted trees don't, because people forget to expose that root flare. This is actually for the longevity and health of the tree. You'd want to find the root flare. And obviously it's been growing in that pot for a while, so it's got roots continue to grow and wrap around the base and girdle the tree. It's starting to flare out here, so that's good. You can rough up the sides with a shovel just to, and now you don't want to break the ball apart, but you're just lightly loosening up the roots just to get them to grow out instead of around. That's what we're doing there. We can go ahead and backfill our hole and plant. And you want to go around, and this is an important part, is stomping. You really want to stomp hard. You don't want to stomp on the ball itself. You're stomping right beside it in the hole. And this is going to keep it secure so it won't move. We'll get some strong winds out of the west that can blow and push a tree over. I'll backfill a second time, and then I'll stomp again. Another important piece of this is not mulching around the base of your trees. That's a common mistake that I see a lot in the field, is mulch all the way up around the base. So you want to keep that root flare exposed. Mulch obviously decomposes, and that can decompose the bark around the tree.
Mulch volcanoes are an all too common sight in people's lawns.
So you just want to mulch up and leave a little space. Yeah, so we got our redbud planted. Excited to see it bloom this spring, and great native trees.
Landscaping with native plants for beauty and biodiversity.